Hey now, and how are you doing? Want to welcome you to the next episode of Peace, Love, and Bring a Bat. Man, today we're going to have a really great guest, as we always do. But my friend Kimberly, man, we're going to learn about a little bit about AI. We're going to learn about leadership. We're going to be learning about so many different things. I don't know how we're going to fit this all in, but how are you doing today, Kim?
I'm doing well. Doing well.
All right, awesome. All right, we know each other for a little while. We're in various communities together and finally got this opportunity to get you on the podcast. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Kimberley Inez Mays, and I help coaches and speakers demystify technology so that they can generate more leads. And I do it with marketing, automation, and AI. I got started in this journey. I have 2 decades of experience, but I've been in business for over 3 years now, and I've been helping small businesses, particularly coaches and speakers, really navigate what it means to truly automate their business and automate their marketing. And yeah, I just love it. I started out as a web designer prior to that in my own business, and I realized that a lot of people have websites, fancy marketing collateral, they have events, programs, courses, but what they lack is the back end systems to make all of that run, and they lack the back end systems to be able to automate their communication so that they can engage their audiences more. So, what I specialize in is tying that all together in a way that does not overwhelm them.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm sure that's one of the things that overwhelms me, all the tools and the different ideas and marketing as a whole to make sure you get it niche down to hitting your plate. How'd you get involved in this? You said you've been working for 20 years, but taking the leap on doing it for yourself is really a big thing.
Yeah, so it was almost by accident because ever since I can go all the way back to more than 20 years ago. So back in the late 90s, I was a teenager and I really wanted to learn HTML. Now everybody had home internet, even though it was dial up. So I taught myself how to build web pages. I taught myself all of these programming languages, something I fell into, always been on the quieter side of things. So I really love solving puzzles. So it was just a natural fit. So then right out of college, because I was a computer science major, I actually took a job building emails. And at the time, when you build an email, it wasn't this drag and drop stuff that we have going on right now. It was actually you had to program the email. You had to program every single thing about the email, including the look and feel, the personalization, connection with databases, things like that. So that was actually an accident that I got into email marketing, and I'm still doing emails even 20 some odd years later. So that goes to show you the longevity of the channel. So that was my experience. I worked for several large database marketing companies, and they had a lot of Fortune 1000 companies as clients, including pharmaceutical. I did a lot of pharma, retail, hospitality, and some of those industries. So I got to learn a lot about what goes behind the scenes of a automation strategy.
Okay, so how would one create a strategy? Just a general 30,000 level. I find myself when I'm working with clients and they think they have a brand, they have these ideas and they don't until you start diving into it. So the same thing, everybody has a strategy, right? I'm going to post every day. I'm going to do X, whatever they're going to do. What's a real strategy that you use or you use with your clients?
Yeah, I say start with the end in mind. What do you ultimately want to do? What is your big dream, your big goal? And start there. So start with what do you want to do? Who do you want to do it for? And then why do you want to do it? And why should they work with you? So start from there because that's this whole strategy, and all roads will lead to that. That's like your North Star. And then things like posting every day, sending emails, doing this, or should I do that? Those are things that you can work on once you have your North Star. So I say don't start with thinking that you got to have a fancy website, you got to start with your logo, you got to start with this. Start with who do you want to serve? How do you want to serve them? What solution do you want to provide for them? And why should they work with you? And I can go more into what you should have once you figure that stuff out, but that is basically it. Because if you don't have that, you're going to waste a lot of time and a lot of money paying people to figure it out for you, and it's not going to be what you want.
Yeah, no, I agree because that's exactly where I'm at and where I'm helping clients now with identifying their brand and make sure it's their most authentic brand, not just a brand. We have so many people in our networks who say they have a brand and they're like, man, I have a brand. And then 6 months later, they have a new logo, which, or I'm branding you and I'm doing something. You're not branding me. I'm in a book, I'm into this, I'm into that. That becomes different. That's not branding. Like just being part of a book or things like that. It's not. It's part of, should be part of your brand. So I definitely recommend people to be authors in several books and looking at things much differently. That is the powerful pieces. But until they understand that, what they're moving out there is not going to be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And really, your brand is, what do you want to be known for? Really, it's just about, what do you want to be known for? So if no, but if you weren't in the room and people were talking about you, what would you want them to say about you? I wouldn't want them to say, "Oh, her favorite color is teal, and she likes sans serif fonts, and she likes to, I don't know, her website looks amazing." Those aren't things that to me are the foundation of a brand. It's the embellishments, the icing on a cake. So once you have that structure and once you have the paying clients and you really solidified in everything you're doing and you're making money, then you go out and buy all that stuff.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's why when I work with clients, I talk to them about their characteristics. What do you want to see about me? That's why when I talk to people and they're like, "Oh, you're the guy with the bat. Dave, you didn't bring your bat." No, that's part of what I do. But I go, "What does the bat mean?" And they're like, "Oh, but you're from New York. We're gonna rattle some heads." And I'm like, "No, that's not at all. That's what you hear. You haven't seen anything. I've never talked about that." I go, "What is it? Do I talk about being awesome today?" That's a brand. Being the bat could be part of my brand, and it is, but it's also how we communicate it because that's what marketing also doesn't matter. You could have the best marketing, but if you don't have the right message, it just falls flat.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. So so you got started because you were working for companies, and what brought you to passion not only for the website but creating websites? Like where brings the fire in your belly? What are the things that bring the fire in your belly?
Yeah, and I think it all goes down to what you enjoyed as a child. I said a while back that I love doing puzzles. So it's about figuring something out. It's about taking something that has nothing and making it something. So if I go all the way back to the 80s, I had a Commodore 64 and I was just a very young child at that point. And I was like, I remember thinking, because I remember I was pretty lucid, even though I couldn't verbalize it. I was like, I'm going to do something with computers one day. And I thought that as a kid, even like back in 87, 88, I don't remember what it was. And, how I got into it was this new thing. And I said, okay, what can I create on it? The websites in the 90s were ugly. And so was all of the ones that I did, and they were ugly. How do I make this thing flash? How do I make the thing tick across the screen? And it was every little win was like more motivation for me to keep going. So I was like, okay, I'll put these things into place. And now, okay, all the puzzle pieces are solved. Let me go build another puzzle. And that's like what programming and marketing and automation and all this other stuff is, just figuring out where the pieces fit once you have an idea what the picture should look like.
Yeah, no, that's great, and it brings me back great memories of Commodore 64. I remember
Yeah.
the beginning of programming. I knew like the old basic, and I was like, "Oh, this is great! I can make my name across the screen," and I was happy and things like that.
Yeah.
So you've honed your craft over the years with the marketing, not only from your corporate experience to your personal experience and working with entrepreneurs and coaches. What would you say on your journey has been your toughest challenge to overcome?
Yeah, wow. My toughest challenge is to overcome is actually myself. I think that is everybody's toughest challenge. I think a big challenge for a lot of people, myself included, is imposter syndrome. So sometimes we play way too small because we're like, I only been doing this for a year, or maybe some people may, oh, I don't have this big following, I don't have the big website, I haven't made a lot of money yet, or whatever the case may be. And I think with my challenges, it's been like, okay, I have so many things that I want to do. Just focusing on one thing and then declaring it loudly and proudly, being able to talk to people, initiate a conversation, and invite them to my offer. That's a lot easier said than done, and it's the simplest things that really move the needle. It's not, I can build people funnels for 80 days or whatever, but if they're not going out and talking to people and being confident in their message, it's not going to work. So that was one of my biggest challenges.
Yeah, I think that's always getting out of our own way and growing from there. And you have some great mentors. Kim is also, you're the chief digital person for Underdog Millionaire
Hmm.
and working with Dr. Obama. Dr. Obama, Dr. Obama is just really talk about getting it right out of the faucet because he has so much information for those people who don't know him. What do you talk when you think about the mentors you have, and it doesn't have to be Dr. Obama. How do you find the right mentors?
So I look for a mixture of personalities and I look for people who are very unlike myself. I look for people who actually, I think it's really, I look for a lot of people who do things differently than myself. So I'm a very organized, methodical person. If things aren't in order, I get very cranky. So I think what has made me grow is when I seek out people who are more throw it to the wall kind of thing. Okay, let's do this and let's go. So I've had both kinds of mentors, and I think a nice mixture helps. There's heart-centric people who I've studied under who are more like in tune with themselves, or they know how to read personalities very well. I know I have mentors who are very more an aggressive bro marketing type side, and that's fine too. That has its place. So just looking for a mixture, because if I worked with somebody who was exactly like me, I think they would drive me crazy, and I think I would drive them crazy. So that's how I seek folks out.
Yeah, no, I think that's the right way. It's always to find a blend
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
if you and that's why it's always good to challenge yourself by talking to people who are not like us. That way you can learn a little bit, and we all should learn,
Yeah.
from somebody. Okay. With all the things you're doing, so what's exciting you right now when you're in your business?
Yeah, what excites me right now is the teaching aspect of my business, and which is really funny because I swore up and down I'd never become a teacher, but back then when I thought of teaching, you think of teaching in a school or teaching children, but now I really teach adults. I teach business owners, so I teach them very simple, straightforward methods of learning automation, and I'm actually going to be doing more teaching and more workshops and courses this year. So what that does for me is it makes me very excited because I'm opening up my own academy. I'm going to have my micro learnings in there, and then really being able to take people by the hand and showing them some of the things that they can do in their own business.
That sounds awesome. What type of, do you have any specifics yet for your academy? Hey, you want to share that?
So it's called the Automated Thought Leader Academy, and it is open to all coaches, speakers, small business owners, influencers, and consultants. So really what I do is I teach them the foundation of building a digital strategy end to end. So going from what is their North Star that they may have worked out with their coach or mentor to now how do you implement that? How do you take that apart, work from the back all the way to the front of the funnel to the brand awareness? How do you make people aware of your brand, and how do you take them through the entire customer journey with the tools that are out here? And what's really exciting is artificial intelligence, the emergence of generative AI. Now we have just the capability of doing market research and data and copywriting and all of these cool things at our fingertips if we know how to use the tools properly. So that is another module and another section that's going to be huge in the academy.
Yeah, I can imagine because AI, I think, might stay around for a little while.
I
So,
think so, yeah.
so how would you suggest to somebody, besides just hiring you, to learn how to manage all these things until they're ready, right? Because you don't want somebody who's completely disorganized in their message, but as they're building it or even thinking about it, what would be something that you would suggest to somebody just starting out?
Yeah, so for somebody who's just starting out, I say you only really need maybe three things in your business from a technology perspective. You need a way to take money. That's number one. You need a way to, because if you don't have a way to take money, then you won't get paid because you won't put out offers. You need a way to take money. You need a way to book appointments, obviously, because I think just starting out, sales calls will be the method of choice for most people. And then you just need a way to collect information. You need a way to collect email addresses. And this could be a spreadsheet if you're just starting out. I am completely platform agnostic and I will meet people where they are. So I will tell you that if you have these basic things and you're just getting started with the ideation of a business to see if it actually bears fruit, you can start with just those three things. And then when you you get some more paying clients and you get validation of your idea, that's when you can grow and scale because these products will always be there and you can always change them too. Some people say, "Oh, pick the biggest system that you're going to ever have because you want to grow into it." And I say, if it's cost prohibitive, if it's taking money away from you, and it's complicated, you're spending your time trying to figure it out, then don't use it. You can always change it up later. So that's what I would say. And then really work with a great mentor to find your message, find the right target audience, the right offer, and the right product so that when you do digitize it, it makes sense.
Sure. Yeah. So, how would you find a really good mentor, or how did you find really good mentors?
I think I found a lot of people by accident, to be honest with you. I found most people by accident. I don't really go looking for folks anymore. I have quite a big network. So, what I would say is when you are vetting or who you want to work with or who you want to follow, just watch how they move. And you can even sign up for their programs. You can even get a taste of what they're about, go to their events. You can enroll in some of their lower priced courses and see what they're all about. See if there's something about them that you might be lacking, see if there's a gap. And of course, it's all a personality thing, right? Because I feel like I'm very strong in the being of methodical almost to a fault where I move pretty slowly. So I look for people who move fast. It might be the opposite way for a lot of people. A lot of people might be high energy, high octane, very distracted. They might need somebody who's a little bit more grounded. So I say just think about who complements your personality and has things that you might not have.
Okay, I think that's some great advice. And so, one of the things I like to talk about on the podcast, because we all understand about peace and love, is when you bring a bat and what keeps your balance going? Because that's really when you hit your sweet spot. That's what's the most important is the balance of how you balance your life. So, how do you balance your life?
Yeah, so how I balance my life is I realize that you have to do what, and I hate to sound cliches, but you have to do what feels right and feels good to you. There's a lot of things that people tell you should be doing, and I think being grounded and staying in your lane and true to yourself is paramount. And I'll give you an example. I do marketing automation funnels, a few websites, but a lot of people, say, why don't you do social media? Why don't you do Facebook ads? So there are about 1,000 different other things that I could also do that people are willing to pay me for, especially when it comes to graphic design. I'm not bad at graphic design. I'm actually quite good at it, but I don't sell it as a service because I know that once I do, I will not be happy. So I say that finding that balance is knowing what you want to do, what you will do, and what you won't do, and being comfortable just saying no, thank you.
Okay, and what's a sweet spot that you might have in terms of your business or your personal life?
I would, yeah, it's tough to say what that sweet spot is. Right now, I'm really excited about the possibility of traveling over the summer. So I'll be traveling for fun. Then I'm also traveling for business too, and I'm traveling for a few other things. So just finding joy in all of it. But yeah, I think it's just finding joy in things. So if it's there are things that we don't like to do, like taxes, for example. I'm not gonna find joy in that, but I'll find joy in like something else after I get that done. But there should be lots of aspects of what you're doing in business that bring you joy. And if there are none, then you might need to consider something else.
Retool or rethink about that. So,
Yeah.
well, what's one great journey? What's one great story that you might have had in your journey, your entrepreneurial journey, on what you've learned to help you get even more fine-tuned on your message and your life?
Yeah, so I think my story, if we speak through branding, I went through several iterations to get to the person that I am now. I can think of a lot of stories, but the one story that comes to mind is I'm very comfortable on camera and it's not something that was easy for me and it's not something that is just okay I do naturally. Now I do, but when I first started, I was very much a perfectionist. I looked at other people and I did a lot of that comparison. I actually cried on my first video that I tried to put out. I look at some of my older videos now and I'm like, yeah, I know I was nervous or scared in those videos. And so I used to see the progression of the person that I've become through having a business too. A lot of things that I had to commit to muscle memory because it felt uncomfortable. Even just doing sales outreach, doing live videos, being on stage, even is something that I really enjoy. So I think that just being open to transforming as a person is something that is required. I don't even think it's an option anymore, but it's just funny seeing how far I was able to come.
Yeah. And so how did you overcome some of the challenges? Because we all expect challenges in our lives. How'd you overcome some of those?
Yeah, so I think when I first got started, I had to let a lot of things go and I had to learn to really accept that this is me. Love me or hate me, this is me. And I'll give you an example. I'll give you another example. When I first started out, I thought I had to have these perfect photos. And I took some professional pictures that I no longer use because it wasn't true and authentic to myself. And so over the years, my branding and my message really changed. And just the way I show up really had to change a lot too. I don't know. I just think it's just such an evolution. Even from the way that I do my makeup and hair on camera, like I no longer obsess about that. And so one of the strategies that I use is this might be helpful to anyone listening is that yes, if you create content, if you don't like it, don't watch it, just post it. As long as you didn't say anything offensive and you didn't mess it up too bad, chances are that it's good enough. And just put it out there. Your good enough is pretty great.
Yeah.
So that's
Right.
what I would say.
And the right people will always come to you. But I think that's a
Exactly.
great way to look at it is, what you do, and don't be afraid to do it by just going out there and do that. Be your most authentic self. And I
Hmm.
know, and every time you show up, you show up exactly who you are on and off camera and social media or not social media. I think that's really part of the brand of who you are. Like you said, you don't want to just be known as the teal girl, though there might be reasonings for your teal, but it doesn't matter. It's who you are. One of the things we could talk about, all the characteristics when we go back to branding, that's the most important part. What we think
Hmm.
of you when you're not in the room as well as while you're in the room. And because if you're consistent and authentic, that's what really comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You've given us a lot of information. There's a lot of AI. How can people reach out to you to talk about their marketing plans or learning anything about your academy?
Yeah, so I give free 30-minute automation insight sessions. So these are sessions in which we talk about things that work, things that don't work, what you might have tried, and what your 90-day goals are. So if you're in a position like, yes, I have an offer, but I'm spending too much time in the fulfillment and marketing of this offer, and I want to put some tech behind it, then it's a conversation that we can definitely have. So the best way to get in touch with me is on social media. So I go by Kimberley Inez Mays. So that's INEZMAYS, like on all social handles. The best way to get in touch with me is with Messenger. But also you can just go to my website and then the links and everything are all there. The calendar, work with me to book an automation insight session. You can do that as well. So those would be the two best ways to do it. So my website is kimberleyinezmays.com.
Okay, that's awesome. And you've given us so many pieces of information, not only for our automating of our business, but also some really great ideas of how to get a mentor and things like that. Is there one, I always go, Matt, we're going to walk into the magic garden. Is there one seed you'd like to plant in the magic garden?
Oh, one seed that I would like to plant in the magic garden. Oh, wow. That's a tough one. I really get stumped, but I would say in terms of my own business or just in terms of the
Yeah.
listeners.
Yeah, no, in terms of your own business, that that somebody could take away a seed that they might rethink at, and then it'll grow. You're like when you listen to it again, you're like, oh wow, it takes it a different growth, right? We have to water our seeds, and if they're going to grow.
Yeah, so I would say, and I don't know, like what's being downloaded in my head is to thine own self be true. Just really just thinking just yes, be absolutely true to yourself. You are enough. I know that a lot of people hear that, but it's often heard, rarely internalized. But yeah, you have everything that you need to like really make yourself successful. A lot of people that you see now, they're a few steps ahead, but it doesn't mean that you're any better or worse than they are.
Okay, no, that's a really home run.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to. All right, thank you for all the information, and I really recommend everybody reaching out to Kimberly. And man, because every time I meet her, we have conversations, and I learn something else. So I hopefully this was helpful for everybody. Thank you so much, Kimberly.
Thank
And
you.
for everybody else, as always, just find your peace and love in your life. And when you bring a bat, make sure you know what your sweet spot is and you hit it out of the park. Thank you so much.